Well, hello and welcome back to Aligned Fitness Living. It's Mike Thornton, your transformation coach, and I'm really excited that we are here on Module 4, which is all about getting you moving. Hopefully, you have, since the beginning, when I challenged you to get outside for at least 5 minutes a day, just using the 5-minute rule for some type of cardiovascular training, hopefully you've been doing that. But today, we're going to build upon that 5-minute rule, and we're going to talk about the most effective cardio training that you can possibly do. So module 4, you're also going to like this. This is probably going to be the shortest module we've done yet. We're going to get to the point, and we're going to get to it quickly. But module 4, what we're going to cover with movement. And when I refer to movement, I'm talking about cardiovascular training, not necessarily muscular training, because we're going to cover that in a different module. It deserves its own module. But in this one, we're going to cover high-intensity interval training, also known as HIIT training. What is it, and what are some of the benefits of it? Why is it so effective? We're going to talk a little bit about excessive post-exercise oxygen consumption. That's a mouthful. It's also known as EPOC, and it's basically an effect on the metabolism. It's going to raise your metabolism, and we're going to talk about a little bit about that. We're going to talk about variations of HIIT-style workouts, the high-intensity interval training workouts. And I'm going to share with you the Mike Thornton method, because that's me. That's the method I like to use. And I'm so excited. Let me just sidebar here for a second. I'm finally getting to do my method again for myself personally. As I mentioned in another module or so, just a little while back, finished my marathon, my first marathon, and the type of training that you do for marathon is very different than what I'm going to share with you in this module. So if you're thinking, I don't want to go train like I'm training for a marathon, then you're in the right place. Because I did it. I followed the training schedule. It's a very different style of cardio. It takes a lot longer. And it's just not my style. So I'm excited because I'm finally back on my own training schedule. And I'm going to share that with you. So speaking of which, what do we think of when we think of cardio? We think of, the old hamster on a wheel. We think about long bouts of boring cardio. We glaze over with the thought of cardio. We think of treadmills and ellipticals and stair climbers, and that we're going to have to get in the car and drive to the gym, hunt down a piece of cardio equipment, wait our turn, hopefully, there's something available, and then get back in the car. And we build up this big, tedious idea of what cardio is. And we think, okay, well, the longer the better, right? I got to go get on a treadmill for an hour. Well, not necessarily true. In fact, that's why I love the HIIT method. In fact, any fitness program that I've really introduced in the past 13 years has been based around HIIT. I know that I've got some of you on this program that have taken some of my programs, and you'll recognize that what we're doing out at Transformation Bootcamp or in our Turn and Burn classes or any of the other programs that we've introduced, even some of our kickboxing classes that we teach, we use the HIIT guideline, the HIIT high-intensity interval training. And all it really is it's high-intensity interval training. It mixes bouts of your maximum intensity with recovery periods. And it can range how long those periods are. But basically, instead of just doing an even pace, a moderate pace exercise like you would if you were going to go jogging or if you were going to train for a marathon where you're trying to work at a certain pace the entire time, what we're doing is we're creating peaks and valleys. It's also known as like high-low training. So if you ever heard anybody refer to high-low training, that's what we're talking about. Benefits, we're going to jump right to the benefits. It's a shorter amount of time. In fact, I'm not going to let you work out more than 25 minutes. Boom, there, I said it. And you'll be surprised at the type of results that you're going to get from this. It can be done anywhere. You don't need a gym. You don't need an elliptical machine. You don't need a treadmill. You can do it in your living room, or you can do it outside in your neighborhood, which is what I would recommend. But it keeps you engaged, because what I call the ADD workout, right? Because, we get bored very easily these days. We're used to constant stimulation. So the cool thing about switching is every 30 to 60 to 90 seconds, you're switching back and forth from one intensity to the other intensity. So it really helps time fly a lot better. Increased VO2 max improves cardiovascular capacity. VO2 max just means the amount of oxygen that you can get into your lungs and how efficiently your body's using that oxygen during the cardiovascular in the cardiovascular system. So by increasing your intensity and you're increasing the amount of oxygen you're having to pull into those lungs, and you're increasing your VO2 max. But here's the one that we really like, and that's why I put it in green, is because it boosts your metabolism by up to 10% for over 24 to 48 hours. Okay? I've read different studies. I've read that in the first 3 hours after doing a HIIT training, your metabolism is burning 16% faster than it would have been without it. I've seen studies that say that, of course, that afterburn starts to decrease over time, but it can last all the way up to 38 hours. So point being is this. This is what I tell people when I explain HIIT. Moderate pace training, you burn calories while you're doing it, and you might create a little bit of an afterburn effect. But studies have shown that HIIT, high-intensity interval training, yes, you're going to burn calories while you're doing it, but that increased metabolism, that increased burn, that increased percentage that you're going to carry for over 24 to maybe even up to 38 hours is going to increase the amount of calories that you're burning on a daily basis by a very large number. So that's why people love HIIT training. It keeps you from being bored. It can be done in a shorter amount of time. It can be done anywhere. Keeps you engaged, and it really boosts that metabolism. So EPOC. You heard me mention that word at the beginning. And all EPOC stands for is excessive post-exercise oxygen consumption. Otherwise, the amount of oxygen you're taking in after a workout like this is increased, and that's what it boosts your metabolism. It's your afterburn. It's a raised metabolism. And basically, if we want to break it down to the science of it, which we're going to do just a little bit right here, is that your body's repairing itself. And oxygen is used in many of the processes for that body to repair itself in hormone balancing, replenishment of your fuel stores, cellular repair, innervation, and anabolism. So the higher the intensity, the higher the EPOC. Okay, so that's why we want high-intensity interval training. Different types, there's a lot of them. I'm going to introduce 3 to you really quick. One of them you've probably heard of recently is Tabata training. And if you don't know what Tabata training is, it's a 4-minute workout, believe it or not. It's a 4-minute workout. You warm up first, but then you're going to do 20 seconds on of a high-intensity exercise and 10 seconds off. And you'll do 8 intervals like that. So you're done in 4 minutes, but man, it is a butt kicker. So you might, let's just use jumping jacks. You might do jumping jacks for 20 seconds and then just kind of march in place for 10 seconds. And then the next 20 seconds, and you stay on a very strict schedule. And it sounds like, hey, that's not bad, 20 seconds of jumping jacks. But by the time you get about to that 5th or 6th interval, yeah, it starts to catch up with you a little bit. So Tabata training is very popular right now. Again, that can be done anywhere. The Little method, named after Dr. Little, is a little bit closer to the method that I like to use, which is 1 minute high and then 75 seconds low. And then in his method, he has you do 12 intervals, which takes you up to about 27 minutes with your warm-up and everything like that. So then you see the last one on there is the Thornton method. That's me. Of course, I'm going to tell you about the method that I like to use, but it's basically a combination of our 5-minute rule and a version of the Little method that I just listed above. So let's take a look at it. You're always going to start with a 3-minute warm-up jog. Okay, now let me slow down for a second. I'm going to cover the method that I prefer, which is outside, okay? But I'm also going to show you how you can do this same method inside, okay? So if you're warming up inside, you can jog in place. You can do 3 minutes and do some jumping jacks, but get the heart rate up, get some blood pumping through your body, and let's warm up, because when we're talking about high intensity, like if I told you, hey, we're going to do sprints today, I don't want you going out there and running a sprint without warming up. So a good warm up to always start off the workout. Got it? Good. All right, so we're going to start with our 3-minute warm up, and then we're going to do 30-second burst training. I'm using different terms because they all mean the same thing. High intensity training, burst training. These are all things that are interchangeable, so I wanted to use some different terms here. But 30-second burst training followed by 90 seconds of a recovery pace. Okay, so for example, I'm taking it outside. I'm going to start with a very light jog for 3 minutes. After about 3 minutes, I'm going to hit my first burst. At about 85 to 100%, I'm going to take off. I'm going to sprint for 30 seconds, okay? You can count it out in your head, but be best if you just have a watch, okay? 30 seconds, you're going to push. And then after that 30 seconds, you're going to bring it all the way down to a walk, okay? Now, your recovery pace can start with a walk, but you must have it back up to a jog pace by the end of it. So you see that you get 90 seconds to recover. So you're going to push, knowing that you can get to stop and allow yourself to catch your breath and keep moving, but you're walking. And then after 30 seconds or so, 45 seconds, maybe even up to a minute, you're going to start to bring it back up to that jog pace, something that you're very comfortable with at a jog pace. That total time right there for that first interval is 5 minutes, right on the dot, right? We talked about getting out and at least doing 5 minutes. So here's your assignment. Start with this very first interval. Do a 3-minute warm-up jog, a 30-second burst, and then a 90-second recovery. And that's 5 minutes. Using the 5-minute mindset, the rule, can I go another 5 minutes? And if the answer is yes, you're going to go for another 5 minutes. But you're just going to do the 30-second high and the 30-second high burst and the 90 seconds of recovery. You don't need to do a 3-minute warm-up jog. You're warm, okay? So doing it that way, you're going to get in a couple more intervals until you come to the next 5 minutes, and then you say, can I go another 5 minutes? Okay, and you're going to use that 5-minute rule that we've talked about. It's a little different than just getting out there and walking for 5 minutes, okay? We should have been doing that. Hopefully we've been doing that up until this point. Now we're going to start pushing it out, okay? So here's the Thornton method schedule. Week 1, you're going to do 30 seconds high, 90 seconds low. Okay, week 2, you do 45 seconds high, 75 seconds low. In week 3, and you're following me here, right? The number on the left is how long you're pushing it. 30 seconds in week 1, 45 seconds in week 2, 60 seconds in week 3. It's a 60-60, okay? 60 seconds on, 60 seconds off in week 3. And then in week 4, we really push it out because you're going to do 75 seconds, okay? A minute 15 high with only a 45-second recovery. At the end of 4 weeks, you're going to change the high-intensity mode, the kind of cardio that you're doing, and start back at week 1. So what I want to highlight here is that this is not a 4-week training program. This is a 4-week cycle that you'll be on. And how many days a week you go out is going to be 100% up to you. I challenge you to do at least 5 minutes a day, 5 days a week. Okay, give yourself some recovery days. And at least get out there with that 5 minutes. Because remember, 5 minutes does do something. I don't know if you remember that all the way back from the mindset video, but 5 minutes does do something. Do not allow yourself to tell yourself, getting out there for 5 minutes isn't really going to do anything. It is. It will do something. And especially with this type of training where we're talking about creating afterburn, even if that's all you get in that day is 5 minutes, then it's going to do something, okay? And on top of that, once you get out there for 5 minutes and you ask yourself the question, can I keep going? What's going to happen is your juices are going to start flowing. You're going to feel better. Yeah, you didn't want to go out there, but now you're feeling kind of okay. And you're going to end up getting a productive work out of it. Not always, but a lot of times that's what's going to happen. Okay, so this is a 4-week cycle. And you might be thinking, okay, is this jog, sprint the entire time? No, there's different things that you can do. For example, we talked about sprints, but your high intensity might be striding. Striding is when you reach with your arms and your legs as far as you can reach as you're running. Okay, striding is high intensity. Power skips. Okay, people might say, well, what's a power skip? It's skipping, but as powerful as you can do it. You're driving your knees up. You're driving your arms up. By the way, you can find, go to YouTube and just type in these terms and you can find these exercises demonstrated very easily. High knees. Okay, that's when you're running and you're trying to get your knees up as high as you can. Butt kickers. That's when you're snapping your heels up behind you and you're trying to snap your heels up to your butt and you're working your hamstrings. Bounding. Bounding is very similar to a power skip, but a little different. And again, Google these or YouTube. Check them out on YouTube. So at the beginning of this, I told you that I was going to cover my preferred method, which is to get you outside. Okay, but if you can't get outside, there's plenty of stuff that you can do using the same method in your living room. You can do jumping jacks, and then in place of walking, you're just walk in place. You just march in place. So, if you want to flip on the TV or jam out to some music or whatever it might be, but you can do the same method. Start with 5 minutes, okay? Get yourself warmed up. First 3 minutes is a warm-up, and then give me 30 seconds high intensity, followed by 90 seconds low intensity. And you're going to follow that same schedule. You can do jumping jacks, you can do jump squats, you can do jump rope, and you can always use an invisible jump rope as well. Never gets caught on your feet. Okay, I'm going to sell those, by the way. Never gets caught on your feet. Think anybody would buy that? I don't know. Burpees. Now, that would be a very tough workout. So on a day that you go, man, I only got 5 minutes, maybe that's the route you want to go, okay? Fast feet, running in place as fast as you can. High knees, you can do that stationary. You don't have to be moving to do high knees. You can do it running in place. And then, of course, if you do choose to go to the gym and use an elliptical machine or a stair climber, you can change intensity many different ways. One is speed. Okay, if you're on an elliptical and it's time to go for your 30 seconds, then you're going to kick it into high gear and you're going to get those legs moving as fast as you possibly can. Another way to change it is the intensity button, so you can just change the resistance on the elliptical machine or bike or whatever it is that you're using. If you're on a treadmill, then you can do sprints on a treadmill. Just be very careful, okay? Sprints on a treadmill, keep your feet underneath you, okay? Again, my preferred method is outdoors, and there's a reason for that. I think there's something that happens to you emotionally when you're outdoors and you're around some nature, and it's a way to get you out of your normal environment. Also, running outside has been proven to be a little bit more of a challenge for your body because you're turning corners and you're running slopes and you're doing things that you don't get to do when you're on an elliptical machine or a treadmill. But you need to choose what's right for you. Okay. Now, one of the things I didn't put it on a slide here, but a question I get all the time is, when is the best time to do cardio? And I used to have a really, generic, cheesy answer, which was the best time to do cardio is whenever you can, and it was like, because it is true. Sometimes people get it in their head, well, I'm supposed to do cardio first thing in the morning and I can't because it's crazy in my house and trying to get the kids out the door or whatever it might be, and I can't do my cardio until after work. So is it still going to be effective? Yeah, of course it is. So I still mean that answer. You do it when you can, okay? But I'm going to tell you what, 5-minute mindset, your workout, if you can get those things done early in the day, first thing in the day, it will change your day. It will change how you work. It will change how you talk to people. It will change how you think. It will change how you move. It will change how you breathe. It will change how you eat. Because when you start your day, okay, focusing on you and getting your body moving and feeling those endorphins kick in, it will change your entire day. It will change your entire outlook. So my recommendation is to do it as early as you possibly can. But again, if it doesn't fit your schedule, then you do it when you can, okay? So for those of you that need, all right, I want a structured outline of what it looks like. Bam, here it is, okay? You do a 4-week cycle of sprints, okay? Remember, we start with 30 seconds and 90 seconds, then 45 and 75. So you're going to do that whole 4-week cycle with your mode being a sprint, your high intensity being a sprint, okay? Then the next 4 weeks, you start the 4-week cycle over and you do power skips. And then you start the next 4-week cycle with striding. And then I'm going to give you an off week, okay? Because that's 3 months right there of some pretty high intensity training. So you're going to give yourself recovery. You can go walk, you can do something, but I want you to take a week off from the high intensity. Okay, and then you might come back in and do 4 weeks of high knees, 4 weeks of butt kickers, 4 weeks of bounding, and then take another off week. That's half of a year schedule right there. If all you do is after that last off week right there is recycle and start back over again, you've got your training schedule. That's all there is to it. This keeps things changed up enough to where your body's never really getting comfortable, and you're going to be able to continue to, keep that afterburn effect going. So there's your schedule right there. Again, most important rule, you must do 5 minutes. 5 minutes, 5 times a week, okay? At least 5 minutes, okay? And don't do more than 5 times 5 minutes, meaning 25 minutes tops, okay? Your workout is 25 minutes tops. Don't go past that mark. And you might be thinking, what if I can do more? Shouldn't I do more? I get that question a lot in a lot of the programs that I do. And usually my question will be, well, is it effective for you right now? Is it working for you? And if the answer is yes, then I would say stick with what's working and don't feel like you have to add more. More is not always better. In fact, sometimes more can be harder on the body, and recovery time will take longer, and you hit burnout and things like that. So more is not always better. I had a real life example I want to share with you here. I had a marathon runner that I was working with, and he would go out and he would run at least 15 miles a week. And not, he might run 6 here, 7 there, and so forth, but he was kind of trained in that marathon mentality. But he wanted to lose weight. He had some weight to lose. And we had already adjusted his diet and so forth, and I was really trying to get him to adopt this Thornton method for cardio, but he didn't trust it. So finally, after banging his head up against the wall over a few months, I said, hey, let's try it. And I said, all I want you to do is start with, I think I started him at 15 minutes a day. But to do the intervals, the way I have them outlined here for you. And in 3 months, he dropped 30 pounds. Only thing we changed was his cardio. And let this sink in. We reduced the amount of cardio that he was doing. We reduced it. We just made it more impactful. And he was able to lose weight. Okay? Kind of blows your mind a little bit, right? Because we always think that more is better, but it's not. It's how we do it that's going to determine whether it's effective or not. So, that's your assignment. Your assignment is to start kicking it into high gear with these intervals. And that's my last slide. So I'll put this back up here one more time so you can see what it looks like. But of course you can download the slides. But this is what it looks like doing the Thornton method. And I'd love to know how it works for you. If you're already doing some type of cardio and you're ready to change it up, try my method. Try my method and see how it works for you. You might be surprised, like that marathon runner who couldn't lose any weight and then dropped 30 pounds very quickly because he changed the cardio method he was doing. He made it more impactful. So that is it. I believe you're going to get out there and you're going to do it. I'm excited to hear about your results. And in the meantime, of course, I'll be rooting you on.